Hello, my name is Ian, and I'm a sophomore at California State University Northridge, majoring in marketing. And today we will be interviewing Jason. Jason is the owner of BlackHawk Floors. Jason is also a member of the NWFA, which stands for National Wood Flooring Association, is a non-profit trade association representing all segments of the hardwood flooring industry, including manufacturers, distributors, retailers, installers, importers and exporters, inspectors, and consultants. Hello, Jason.
How are you, Ian?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
All right. So let's just jump right in.
Sure.
Could you describe what your typical workday entails and what's your first few years in the career look like?
So my workday today starts at about 5:30 or so. I get up, have to get my coffee going, and then
Mhm.
I will visit job sites until typically 7:30 is usually when I get to my first one, and that'll go till about 9 or 10. And then
Mhm.
I'll mix. I will visit some more job sites during the day, but from that point, it typically transitions from visiting job sites and kind of going over the projects that we're currently working on with customers and getting maybe a new job started to estimates and maybe meetings at our showroom. So we do have a 2,000 square foot showroom that we can invite our
Oh, wow.
customers into. But that's kind of my day. And then from the rest of that day, from about 10 o'clock on, it's filled with estimates and meetings with customers. Occasionally I can squeeze in a lunch and then it's home to the kids. So that's kind of a day today what it looks like. When I first started, much
Mhm.
different. I was getting there at 7:30 in the morning to start work, and we'd usually work till 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Put in a full day. It's a physical job. This
Mhm.
isn't something where there's days where you're not going to have to go to the gym. You'll be unloading material off of a truck and bringing it into a home or just installing a wood floor. But it's super rewarding. But so my days have definitely changed from when I first started installing and sanding and finishing to what they are today as a business owner.
That sounds like you really love your job.
I
So,
do, and I cherish the days when I get to go back and actually work in the field and sand a floor or install a floor myself because there's
mhm.
so much of my time now is windshield time driving from project to project and overseeing all those things that I miss the hands-on experience that I used to have when I first started.
So let me ask you something. Have you always been interested in doing this, or how did you get into this, industry or role?
No, it was I guess a little bit of bad luck. I got my family has a ranch and I was working on the ranch, got hurt,
Mhm.
and long story short, my aunt knew of someone who needed help doing wood floors, and so that's kind of how everything got started there. And next thing you know, I've been doing it for a long time and uh, own a business and multiple employees and it's been wood floors have been very good to me.
So, if you can go back in time, what high school courses or college courses would you have given yourself to take to help you with this occupation?
So I think there's a couple, of course. The standout one would be woodworking or something in the construction industry, whether just to understand measurements and angles.
Hmm.
The other thing is math. You know, an actual high school class is math. We use it every single day for figuring out. It may just be square footages, right? We're
Yeah.
measuring length and width, multiplying the two to something where we're figuring out the cosine and tangent
Oh,
of an
wow.
angle. So yeah, so we can do some custom patterns. So some of our layouts will require us to figure out 30, 60, 90 triangles. And we go back to those and the Pythagorean theorem. So math would be probably one of the biggest things. Under notes would be like, again, of course, today, like marketing,
Hmm.
being on the business owner side of it now, marketing is huge. And running a business, the field portion of it's only just a small portion of what you actually have to do. You have to be this well-rounded kind of an athlete, right? A cross trainer because
Hmm.
you got to know the field stuff, and then you have to know uh,
The
the
internals
business
and
side of
management.
it too,
Yeah.
right? And the management, the customer service, and now the marketing. Everything's on the computers now. It used to be you just got a phone book ad and you were good to go. Now it's Facebook and Instagram
Instagram,
and
all
uh,
those things.
yeah. So it's a little different now.
I think that's so funny because a lot of people in high school or when they're in college, they look at their math courses or their business courses and they say, this isn't ever going to apply to me. But I think that's fascinating how you use like cosine and tangent and all those trigonometry and math and stuff. That's pretty cool.
It is. It's pretty cool, and it takes you back. There's times where I'll pull out an algebra book just to figure out, or geometry rather, just to figure out an angle that we're on a project we're working on. So I was strong in math, so that probably helped me a little bit
Hmm.
understand those. So I would say math would be probably more important than even the woodworking side of it. It's as or a shop class, you know.
Interesting. So, what part-time jobs or apprenticeships or internships or extracurriculars would you recommend to best prepare you for this occupation?
So it's a very technical trade.
Hmm.
So definitely any kind of internship you could get with a wood floor company, whether it's doing something in the, even if you're just stocking materials or working in a warehouse with that product, you kind of start to gain some of the knowledge. But working in that field itself is really, it's a hands-on. It's almost like going to uh, college versus medical school, right? Excuse me. Medical school is going to give you all of that, detailed training, which is what we do here. This is we're working with different moisture contents and species, and I can throw out a bunch of cool terms like equilibrium and things like that. But those are all things that you really need to know that are kind of the inner
Hmm.
workings, and that's something you don't even learn in the first year or two of being a kind of an apprentice installer. You don't, because it's taken care of by usually the lead guy or the business owner is kind of handling that side. So
Yeah.
really just learning the technical side of how to properly install a floor and make cuts with appropriate saw and safety and all those things, so you don't lose any of your digits.
Yeah.
Saw safety type things, and that's really the first year or so, and then it kind of transitions into more of the technical stuff and why you do what you do with moisture content and acclimation. So
Mhm.
that's probably, I know it's a long answer for, some type of an internship in the
Yeah.
wood industry is ideal.
So if let's say a student couldn't find an internship in the wood industry, then what type of characteristics and skills would you want them to build up to lead to getting a job in the wood industry?
Again, layout. So math stuff would be good,
Hmm.
so it would be whether it's tile or carpet. It could be a framer.
Hmm.
If you understand how a house is built and how they're put together, even an experience or a background in carpet or
Hmm.
concrete would be a great aspect to have. And really probably transition anywhere in there that you're using something with your hands and measuring something. So
Hmm.
whether that's a roofer or a plumber, whatever it is, you're understanding kind of the construction trade and understanding what it takes working in a new construction house or a remodel situation. So the nice thing is we're on the latter side of things of a building project. So air conditioning is on or
Oh,
heat. So
okay.
we're not
Yeah.
out there. We're not the framers out there in 120-degree weather or in
Hmm.
10-degree weather framing a house. We're at the latter stages of it. Yes, we bring material in from outside, but it comes into a finished house that's acclimated, and so we don't have the extreme conditions that some of the trades do.
Yeah. So I mentioned that you were part of the NWFA. Can you describe some of the benefits of becoming a member?
Oh gosh, probably the biggest benefit is networking.
Hmm.
So I really kind of feel like it's a family organization, and as many members as we have, they're really like a big family. And
Hmm.
we have an annual expo, and it's kind of like going to that family reunion. You'll see people that you haven't seen for a year. You might talk to them on the phone much more often than that, but
Hmm.
it's almost like having a parent in the industry. So you could always have somebody to go back to. You run into a technical problem, you get on the phone and say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. And they have a hotline that there's somebody there all the time to answer the phone calls.
It's really good.
And so it really is, it's like having a family member in the business, but it's a trade organization. And
Hmm.
their whole, everything that the NWFA stands for is to better the wood floor industry.
Hmm.
So if it's better for the wood floor industry, we're going to promote it. We're going to do everything we can to help build this industry and make it stronger. And that's with education with the, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the NWFA University that they have now.
Mm-mm. Can you
It's an
elaborate?
education program that when you sign on as a member, you can access this NWFA University. I believe it's a yearly fee. I know it is. It's a yearly fee. But it's almost like taking, they call them modules, but they're 10 to 15 minute long classes, and it just goes over everything from literally the forest to the floor. So from how the tree is, the intercambium layers, and uh, how the floor is manufactured, how it's kiln dried, to
Mm-hmm.
how it's finished, to the proper installation techniques. All of those are covered in those modules. So that's a huge benefit of being a member and then having that university um, program there.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about the networking and the educational benefits of the NWFA, but I have a question for you. So let's say if I'm a college student who wants to go into the industry, would it be beneficial for me to join while I'm in college, or should I be someone that's already like 5, 10 years into the industry while joining?
So, for instance, my company, we're members of the organization. So therefore, all my employees are members of the organization.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of how that works, is the parent company. So if they start out working for a company that's a member of the NWFA,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have access to those things if the company has signed into the NWFA University. The entire company has access to that study material and the university information. So I can have my employees come in and do tests and go through the education modules and
Mm-hmm.
learn about proper installation techniques. So it's not just me telling them. It's they're getting it from a third party, so it kind of sinks in sometimes. And there's a lot of visual and hands-on there. There's a little short test at the end, and so yeah, it kind of confirms that somebody's actually retaining that information, at least for the short term.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that sounds like a really good benefit. Do you think, this is just going off tangent, but do you believe that as a student, I feel like I would want to look for a company that's part of the organization, considering they provide so many different resources. And so if I'm looking to go into the industry, when I see your company saying that you're part of the association, then I kind of want to join. Does that ever happen, or what do
It
you?
does, and we have customers contact us because we are members. So I sit on a what's called the NWFA CP, which is Certified Professionals Board of
Mhm.
Directors. And with that, that covers all the education programs that the NWFA has on the technical side. So we have certification levels for installation and for sand and finish inspectors, and a sales class also, where you can actually run through these classes, and they're hands-on classes, um, complete those classes, test with an actual technical test at the end, hands-on,
Mhm.
and then take a written test, and you can become certified. So once you're certified, then you're placed on the NWFA website as a
Oh,
certified.
wow.
So customers can look on that user, that the homeowner portion or consumer version of the NWFA website, because they have
Mhm.
for the professionals, and then they have the consumer side. They're able to look on that and look up a professional in their area, and your name would pop up. And if you're certified for sand and finish, and that's what they need done, then your company information would all be up there. So there is a huge benefit to that. And we have customers specifically contact us just because we're NWFA certified for install or for sand and
Mhm.
finish. So it is a huge asset.
Okay. Well, you look like you have a lot of experience. What's the most surprising thing about being in this career?
The surprising thing, how rewarding it was. I think when I first started, it was just a job.
Hmm.
But literally, you go into a house or a home, and it's a customer's home that you're working in. That's something that's, I think, key to understanding. This is their home. This is their personal private space, and they're
Hmm.
allowing you to come in, and it's your responsibility to create something beautiful. So you're
Yeah.
taking their old carpet, their old hardwood, their old tile, whatever it may be, you're removing it or you're refinishing it, and you're turning it into something beautiful. And
Hmm.
I think that's probably the most rewarding thing. And it's kind of quick. So if you've got that kind of need for instant gratification, where you can take something that's kind of kind of old and drab and turn it into something new and amazing in a short period of time, that would be wood floors for sure. So
Hmm.
you walk in there, they're upset about their floors, they're excited to get new ones. You create a beautiful floor for them, and you're the hero. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of that was something I didn't realize that I would get that much personal gratification from the whole process.
Hmm. I think that's funny because a lot of people, people coming out of college and high school, they really want to go to a job that really helps people and makes an impact. And I love how, like, with the way you see it is like you're making beautiful art for for these clients and making their homes better.
So
So,
one of the things I always look at, and I love the quote, and it's and again, don't quote me exactly on this, but it's
okay.
art is not just for the walls. And
Hmm.
so what that quote came from was a gentleman in 1989 bought a 18th century desk, and I want to say he paid like $6 million for it. It was an
Hmm.
extensive amount of, I mean, just a massive amount of money for a desk, and that was his line. Yes, it's a piece of wood, and somebody created it probably by hand without the use of many or any modern tools,
Hmm.
and he created this work of art, and that's what we have to look at our business as, our company as, is
Yeah.
that we're not in somebody's house just throwing in a wood floor. We're in their house creating a masterpiece. Now, it may not be a custom finished masterpiece. It may be something that's pre-finished, but we make that floor look as good as we possibly can with the
Hmm.
products we're working with, and that's a prideful thing. That's something that's very important.
Well, is there anything else you would like to add or think would help someone considering this occupation?
Yeah, I mean, not just so much this occupation. It is a rewarding
Hmm.
occupation for sure. Um, it's something that I'm very lucky to have kind of fallen into.
Hmm.
I've been able to support my family and my employees, and I'm really proud of the work that they do every day too. I guess one thing I would say is, and maybe it's a bit cliche, but you get out of life what you put into it.
Hmm.
So the harder you work, the more you're going to get in return. And that goes with from anything you do, whether spending time with your family, your work, and then the only other thing was treat every customer as though they're your first.
Hmm.
In other words, these customers become family members or friends of ours at the end of the project. And if I were to go in there and I may meet 5 to 6 new customers, sometimes more than that a week,
Hmm.
if I treat them just as another customer, another number, I'm not going to get very many projects. But if I treat them as though they're important to me, and they are,
Hmm.
and I respect their time and their products and their trust in me, I'm going to create a beautiful floor for them, and it stays new and fresh that way. So I
Well,
guess
I
that
think
would be
that
my two little bits of words to the words of wisdom.
that's pretty good advice. Well, thank you so much for spending your time this afternoon, Jason.
Hey, Ian, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome.